Imagine a single 5-meter stretch of sidewalk in Ho Chi Minh City. At 2 p.m., it's a ghost town, just sun-baked concrete and dead air. But blink, and the scene transforms. By 6 p.m., that same slab of pavement is a high-speed seafood restaurant. 40 people on plastic stools, 3 chefs tossing flames, and a full-service bar. Then, at 4 a.m., it vanishes. It's erased, and in its place, a bustling morning vegetable market. In the West, real estate is static. When a shop closes, that space sits idle and useless for 14 hours. It's a wasted asset. But in Vietnam, the sidewalk is a high-performance computer running 3 different apps in a single day. It's a multi-user interface where the property doesn't belong to a person. It belongs to a time slot. This is the shift system, an organic form of yield management that ensures a single piece of land stays productive 24 hours a day. Here's the hidden logic behind the city that never sleeps. I'm John, a Vietnamese American living here full-time. And when I first moved back, I honestly thought I was losing my mind. I found this tiny spot under a rusted yellow awning that served the best
Bún Bò I've ever tasted.
Dark mahogany broth, heavy on the lemongrass, and just enough chili heat to wake you up. I sat on a tiny plastic stool, slurped down every drop, and thought, this is my new daily ritual. I'd mark the location, come back at 7 p.m. for dinner, and the restaurant was just gone. No sign, no kitchen, not even a piece of vermicelli on the ground. In its place would be a lady selling grilled skewers and a completely different crowd of people. I realized that in Vietnam, you don't rent a location, you rent a time slot. Because urban density is so high and land prices are skyrocketing, the sidewalk has evolved into a shared operating system with 3 distinct logins. The dawn market runs from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. for fresh groceries and quick fuel. Then, the service lunch takes over from 10:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. to feed the city's workforce. Finally, the social evening shift runs from 5 p.m. until midnight, turning the concrete into a public living room. By dividing the day this way, the opportunity cost of empty space is eliminated. These vendors aren't paying for 24 hours of empty air. They only pay for their 5-hour window of peak traffic. You might wonder, who decides who gets the 6 a.m. slot? It isn't a free-for-all. It's a sophisticated informal economy. Usually, the family living in the tube house directly behind the sidewalk acts as the server. While the government technically owns the sidewalk, the homeowner manages the interface in front of their door. They sublease the concrete to different vendors throughout the day in what are essentially micro-leases. A morning vendor might pay the family 2 million Vietnamese dong. That's about $80 a month, while the evening vendor pays a different rate based on their revenue potential. The house provides the infrastructure, the electricity for the lights, and the water for the dishes, while the vendor brings the business. For this to work, the hardware has to be mobile. A Vietnamese street business is a masterclass in modular logistics. Everything, the tables, the stools, the stoves, is designed to be packed and cleared in under 10 minutes. This is what I call the tactical extraction. When a shift ends, the entire kitchen is folded onto a single motorbike or a pushcart. The sidewalk is swept clean, and the next user logs in. This frictionless flow is the only way the city can sustain such high density without the economy grinding to a halt. If a vendor stays 10 minutes late, they aren't just being rude. They are crashing someone else's business model. If you watch closely during the golden hour at 5 p.m., you'll see the handoff. It's a silent choreography. There's no manager with a whistle. It's just the natural rhythm of the street. The noodle lady finishes her last bowl, scrubs her 5-meter patch of concrete until it's spotless, and retreats into the shadows. Before the water on the pavement even dries, the evening crew is clicking their plastic tables into place. One life ends, another begins, and the concrete never gets a chance to cool down. It's a seamless transition of human energy. And that's where the real profit lies. This level of optimization, getting 3 days of utility out of 1 day of time, is exactly how I look at the world now. In a city where every square inch counts, you can't afford to have dead space. Every hour that a sidewalk is empty is lost revenue. I apply that same data-driven logic to how I manage my own portfolio. I don't want my capital sitting in an unproductive time slot or a company with poor asset turnover. That's why I use Seeking Alpha. It provides the high-level analysis I need to see if a company is truly optimized for growth or just taking up space. There's an exclusive discount for them in the description. But why is the demand for the sidewalks so high? Why doesn't the restaurant just move inside? This is where the physics of heat comes in. In a climate that stays at 30 degrees Celsius, or about 86 degrees Fahrenheit, even at night, an indoor restaurant without massive air conditioning costs is an economic liability. The sidewalk offers natural air conditioning through cross breezes, which is a massive cost saving for the vendor. Furthermore, because Vietnamese homes are notoriously narrow, usually only 4 meters or 13 feet wide, the living room as we know it in the West doesn't exist. There is no space inside to host 10 friends for dinner. The sidewalk is the public living room. The chaos you see isn't the absence of a system. It's a different kind of system. One that's flexible instead of rigid. The street is efficient because the space is shared. It relies on thousands of small businesses instead of one big one. When one vendor fails, it doesn't bring down the block. When demand changes, the vendors adapt instantly. It's not disorder, it's distributed order. Vietnam figured out how to feed millions of people without building millions of restaurants. It's a 24-hour cycle of organized handoffs that turns a simple piece of concrete into an economic engine supporting multiple families every single day. The street is the heart of the city's social life because the architecture of the city leaves no other choice. It is a city that has solved the problem of density by making its public spaces work triple shifts. But once you step off that sidewalk and through the front door, the logic of the shared space disappears and is replaced by vertical logic. Why are the buildings themselves so strange? Why are they 5 stories tall but narrow enough to touch both walls at once? In the next video, we're going inside the architecture that defines the skyline, the tube house. We're going to look at how a 19th century tax law created one of the stranger and unique houses on the planet. Subscribe to be notified when that drops. I'll see you at the front door.